Eirlys' white ceiling. White lights. White that hurts. Something tugs at my wrist when I try to move. Plastic tight. An IV line bites into my vein like a leash. My throat is sandpaper, my tongue feels too big for my mouth. I swallow and it burns. A monitor keeps time beside me, steady beeps, like a patient metronome for a life I'm not sure is mine. The air tastes wrong, too clean, too sharp. Under it, though, there's something else. Warm, dark. A scent like rain on stone and crushed juniper. My chest tightens around that smell as if it's a hand closing, squeezing, not painful exactly, commanding. My body pulls toward it before my mind can decide if it's safe. I turn my head. A man sits in a chair pulled close to my bed, elbows braced on his knees, hands clasped as if he's been praying and forgot the words. He has gray eyes that don't look away when mine find them. Not startled, not guilty. Just wrecked in a quiet way. He stands too quickly, and the chair legs scrape the floor. He leans in, stopping himself at the last inch like there's a line he refuses to cross without permission. "You're awake," he says, voice roughened by lack of sleep. "Thank the stars." My lips part. The first sound that comes out is not a question. It's a warning, hoarse and thin. "Who are you?" His face flickers, something sharp behind his eyes, and then smooths into a tenderness that feels practiced by necessity. "Iden." My pulse stutters as if it recognizes the name. My mind does not. He reaches out slow, showing me his empty palm the way you show a frightened animal you don't mean to hurt it. His fingers don't touch me, yet my skin reacts anyway, heat rising along my arms as if his nearness alone is a contact. He stops, swallows. "I'm your mate." The beeping seems louder. My lungs forget how to work for a beat. "No," I manage. "No, that's not, I don't." I try to sit up and the room tilts, nausea rolling through me like a wave. My vision blurs at the edges. IV line pulls. The monitor complains with a sharper chirp. Iden's hand finally lands on the bedrail, not on me, anchoring the metal so I don't yank it loose. "Easy, please. Please, not command, not alpha dominance thrown like a net. That should reassure me. It doesn't, because my body traitor, liar, eases the moment he speaks. My shaking slows. The dizziness backs off as if it's afraid of him. My breathing finds a rhythm again, synchronized with that dark juniper scent. He watches me notice it. His jaw tightens, and I hate him for understanding what I'm feeling when I don't. "I don't remember you," I whisper. "I know." His voice fractures on the last word. "I know, Eirlys." My name hits me like a thrown stone. Eirlys, it should feel like a key in a lock. It feels like a door slamming shut somewhere deep inside me. "Don't," I say, and there's more panic than anger. "Don't say it like you own it." He flinches as if I struck him. "I don't." He drags a hand down his face, then drops it, controlled again. "You were attacked. There was spell work. The physician said memory loss can happen when magic scrapes the mind the way steel scrapes bone." My stomach turns at the image. I scan the room fast. Hospital bed, pale curtain, a cabinet with sealed packs, a window showing nothing but rain and a blurred city skyline beyond glass. There's a warding sigil chalked faintly near the doorframe, simple, utilitarian. Not decorative. Real. A faint hum prickles the air like static, protective magic. So this is a world where spells don't stay in storybooks. They end up in hospital charts. I yank at the sheet, needing distance. "Where's my family? A friend? Someone who actually knows me?" Iden's eyes lower for half a second. When he looks up again, the grief in him is a storm held behind a dam. "They were contacted." That's not an answer. His mouth tightens. "Eirlys, you're not safe. Whoever did this." "Stop." My voice cracks. "Stop saying my name like you're entitled to it. You walk in here, tell me you're my mate, and expect me to what? Melt." His gaze drops to my throat, then to my wrist where the line runs, then back to my face. He looks like he wants to touch me and is terrified of what touching would do to me, to him, to the fragile truce my body is already making. I don't expect anything from you, he says quietly. Not trust, not forgiveness. Not, then prove it, I snap. Prove you know me. Tell me something you couldn't know if you were lying. He exhales. The sound trembles. You hate lilies. The smell makes your stomach turn, but you pretend you don't mind when people give them to you because you don't want to hurt their feelings. My mouth goes dry. I don't know if it's true. I don't know anything. But the detail is so specific my skin prickles. He continues, eyes fixed on mine, voice low as if speaking too loudly could break me. You fold the corners of book pages instead of using a marker because you always think you'll remember the passage, and then you forget which page mattered. My heartbeat gets louder in my ears. You sleep with your hands tucked under your chin, he says, softer. Like this. He mimics it unconsciously, the gesture intimate in a way that bypasses logic. My throat aches. No, don't let pretty details become a chain. Those are charming guesses, I say, forcing a laugh that comes out brittle. You could have asked someone, you could have read a file, or you could just be good at spinning stories. His gaze darkens, not with anger but with something like surrender. Then ask me to tell you about us, about our life. Let me try. Try, I repeat. Fine, talk. He hesitates, as if choosing which memory will cut least. Then his voice steadies into a narrative that feels too smooth to be improvised. We met in the lower arches, he says. At the night market by the river, under those iron bridges that drip when it rains. You were bargaining with a vendor who sold enchanted ribbons, cheap, harmless charms for tourists, and you were furious because the ribbon kept turning your hair blue. That image flashes in my mind, blue strands, laughter, rain on stone, so vivid it could be memory or fabrication. I can't tell. My chest tightens anyway. You were Omega, he says, like it matters. Like it's not just biology, but a map of survival. But you didn't move like someone who expects to be handled. You moved like someone who expects to be obeyed. My spine straightens without permission. And I was stupid enough to think I could stand nearby and not want you. His mouth curves, a shadow of a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. You told me my stare was rude. You told me if I planned to keep looking, I should at least have the decency to introduce myself. I swallow. The monitor beeps steady. That sounds like me. I ask, hating that it comes out like hope. His gaze softens. Yes, gods, yes. He keeps talking small scenes, domestic and bright. A kitchen with a window that fogs from boiling tea. A stormy night where I supposedly pressed my cold feet against his calf to steal his warmth. A fight over nothing that ended with both of us on the floor laughing because the cat, we had a cat, had stolen the entire roast chicken. Each story lands like a coin on a table, shiny, tempting, weighty. Too weighty. Because what kind of man sits beside a hospital bed and tells fairytale memories to a woman who can't even remember her own favorite color? My suspicion grows teeth. I don't believe you, I say finally, and my voice is steadier now. If you were my mate, I'd feel it. I'd know, wouldn't I? His eyes close for a moment, like the question hurts more than the attack did. When he opens them again, the gray is darker, stormier. You do feel it, he says quietly. Your body does. That's why your pulse calmed when you smelled me. My cheeks heat, humiliation rushing through me. He continues, gentle but unrelenting. Your nervous system is in shock. You're magic. He glances toward the faint warding mark by the door. It's unstable. The physician said my presence stabilizes you. So I'm what? I bite out. Addicted to your scent? No. His voice drops, rough. Not addicted, anchored. The word hits a place in me that feels raw. I stare at him, at his steady hands, at the fine scar that cuts through his left eyebrow like a past he didn't win cleanly. He looks like a man built for violence who learned restraint the hard way. I want a doctor, I say. He nods immediately. Of course. He turns toward the door, but the moment he moves away, my stomach lurches. A wave of dizziness slams into me, sudden and vicious. My skin prickles, too hot, too cold. The room tilts. A sound tears out of me, small, involuntary. Iden freezes mid-step, and then he's back at my side faster than seems possible, not touching me yet close enough that his scent floods my lungs. The dizziness recedes like a tide obeying the moon. I hate my body. I hate the relief that comes with him. I hate him for being the relief. His voice is low, careful. I'm sorry. That apology is not triumphant. It's wrecked. I stare at him, breath shaking. What did they do to me? His jaw flexes. They tried to kill you, he says. And when that didn't work, they tried to erase you. The word erase makes my fingers curl around the sheet like I can hold myself in place with fabric. He looks at me like I am something precious he failed to guard. And I'm going to find out who. Iden she wakes like a wounded creature, eyes wide, sense spiking sharp with fear and confusion. The first time I saw Eirlys unconscious on that blood-slick street, I thought I'd never see those eyes open again. Now they burn into me, demanding answers I'm not sure I have the right to give. The physicians warned me: amnesia, magical trauma, fragmentation. They told me she might look at me and see a stranger. I wasn't prepared for the way it would hollow me out anyway. When she calls me a liar, my instincts flare, alpha anger, old and ugly, then die under the weight of her fragility. I swallow it, because if I let it show, she'll see a threat where she needs an anchor. And she does need one. The moment I step away, her body rebels. Her magic flickers. I can feel it in the air, the prickle along my forearms, the way warding sigils hum louder like they're straining. They placed her in a reinforced room, not for comfort but containment. That's how dangerous her instability is. How dangerous she is if someone pushes her in the wrong direction. I learned the rules in the first hour after I dragged her bleeding into the triage ward. An Omega's volatile magic after a curse strike can lash out like a storm, seeking the nearest bonded resonance to stabilize. Scent, voice, proximity, primitive things wearing a modern coat. The staff didn't ask my opinion when their instruments registered her pulse smoothing under my hand. They simply said, "Stay." They assumed I was her mate, and I didn't correct them. Not because I wanted to steal a place I didn't earn. Because if I said the truth, I found her dying, I am nobody to her, they would have separated us. For policy, for propriety, for the tidy rules hospitals cling to while people bleed. And she would have crashed. Now she wants proof, and I give her the only proof I can. Details I noticed, things she said when she was half asleep in the days after the attack, delirious and clinging to life. I turn them into stories because stories are easier to hold than bare, bloody facts. But the longer I speak, the more I despise myself. I watch her face while I talk. I watch hope flicker and get strangled by suspicion. I watch her fight the way her body leans toward me like a plant toward sunlight. When she finally demands a doctor, I almost welcome it. Let someone else take the weight. Let someone else be the villain for a moment. I take one step away. Her scent spikes, panic, nausea, the sharp tang of magic overheating. The monitors squeal. Her skin goes pale under the hospital light. She makes a sound I will hear in my nightmares. I'm back at her side before my mind can negotiate with my muscles. I don't touch her, I don't have to. My proximity does it. The air between us calms as if the world itself inhales. Her shame hits me like a punch. She thinks she's weak. She is. She's being held hostage by her own biology and whatever curse was laid into her mind. And I helped build the cage by letting the lie stand. I'm sorry, I tell her, And it's the only honest thing I can say without shattering what little stability she has. She asks what they did to her, and my hands tighten behind my back. I've seen curse work before. I've seen a man forget his child's face in the span of an hour. I've seen an Omega tear her own skin raw trying to scratch a bond mark that wasn't there, because someone convinced her body it had been stolen. This was worse. This was surgical, not a wild hex thrown in a bar fight. Whoever did it knew exactly where to cut. They tried to kill you, I say, because she deserves truth even if she hates it. And when that didn't work, they tried to erase you. Her eyes go distant for a heartbeat, like she's looking at something behind me. Memory's shadow. Then she grips the sheet, as if she can hold herself to the bed with willpower alone. I make myself a promise I swore I would never make again after my own mate died in my arms 2 winters ago. I will protect this person even if it ruins me. She doesn't know that I am a man who buried his future and vowed never to reach for another. She doesn't know that staying beside her bed, breathing her scent, feeling her nervous system quiet when my voice dips low, is a kind of betrayal of the dead. Or perhaps the dead would forgive me. The living might not. A knock taps the doorframe, 3 crisp raps, the sound of protocol. A healer enters, white coat, ward sigil pin at her collar catching the light. Behind her, 2 security officers in gray stand with hands near their belts, not weapons, rune cuffs, the kind used for magical incidents. The healer's gaze goes first to the monitors, then to Eirlys' face, then briefly to me. Calculation. Confirmation. Awake, she asks, stepping closer. Eirlys' voice is strained but sharp. Yes, and I want the truth. The healer's expression tightens. She glances to the officers, then back. We will be honest with you, Ms. Vale. Eirlys blinks. Vale? My stomach drops. That surname is not the one I told myself in my stories. It's not the one she whispered once in delirium, or maybe I imagined it, or maybe the curse rearranged even that. The healer continues, careful. Your legal name in the registry is Eirlys Vale. You were brought in with severe curse trauma and evidence of targeted spell assault. You were found with a broken ward stone in your pocket. She holds up a small evidence bag. Inside it, a cracked black stone veined with silver, an old kind of protective charm that only activates when keyed to a person's blood and true name. Eirlys stares at it as if it's a snake. Why was it in my pocket? She whispers. The healer's eyes flick to me again, then away, as if she's memorized the rules of this room. Don't provoke the alpha, don't frighten the omega, don't mention the wrong word and make the magic flare. We don't know, she says, but we have reason to believe you witnessed a crime, possibly the crime that led to your attack. Eirlys swallows hard. What crime? The healer hesitates. The security officer behind her shifts, boots quiet on linoleum. Murder, he says flatly, as if the word is a file label, not a horror. Eirlys' eyes widen. Her breathing starts to hitch. Instinct surges through me. I step closer to the bed, not touching, just letting my scent reach her like a blanket. Her shoulders drop a fraction. The officer continues. Whoever did it believes your memory will return. They believe you can identify them. Eirlys' gaze snaps to me, raw accusation and fear braided together. So I'm bait. The officer's mouth thins. You are a witness under protection. Eirlys laughs once, sharp and disbelieving. Protection, she repeats, looking at the rune cuffs like they're for me or for her. From who? From the killer or from myself? The healer's voice softens. From both, if necessary. Eirlys' fingers dig into the sheet. Her eyes flick around the room again, searching for exits, for allies, for something solid. Her gaze lands on me, and for a second her expression is pure, helpless fury. Because no matter how much she wants to push me away, her body leans toward my presence like it's the only stable ground. And I, liar, stranger, Anchor, I'm trapped with her in a room designed to keep danger out while it quietly keeps danger in. The security officer clears his throat. There's another matter. Mr. Iden Thorne, correct. My spine locks. Hearing my name spoken with that tone makes every old instinct wake. Yes. He holds out a thin folder. We need to confirm your bond status. Our records do not show a registered mate bond with Ms. Vale. Eirlys goes very still. The air sharpens as if her magic is a blade coming halfway out of its sheath. I feel her looking at me without turning her head, the way you feel a storm gathering behind your house. Registered, she says slowly, tasting the word like poison. Meaning you could still be my mate and just not registered. The officer's eyes remain flat. Or he could be unrelated. Eirlys' voice drops to a whisper. Iden. My name in her mouth is not tenderness. It's a demand. I could lie again. I could say the bond is private, old-fashioned, unrecorded. I could protect her stability for another hour, another day. But the way she says my name tells me that if I lie now, I will lose whatever fragile chance I have to become anything other than a captor in her mind. I inhale once, tasting antiseptic and rain and the faint sweetness of her omega scent under fear. I'm not registered to her, I say. The words scrape. Because we weren't bonded before the attack. The room goes silent except for the monitor. Eirlys turns her head toward me slowly, as if sudden movement might shatter her. Her eyes are glossy, furious, betrayed, and worse, humiliated. You lied, she says. I force myself to hold her gaze. I let them assume. That's lying. Yes, her breath stutters. The air around her prickles, magic rising like heat shimmer over asphalt. The warding sigil near the door hums louder, responding to the spike. Healer steps forward quickly. Ms. Vale, please your pulse. Get out, Eirlys says, voice shaking. Not to the healer, not to the officers, to me. My stomach drops through the floor. But even as she says it, her body sways, color draining from her face as if the command costs her more than it costs me. She hates that. I hate it for her. I saved you, I say, because truth is all I have left. I found you. Stop, she whispers, and her eyes flash bright with tears she refuses to let fall. Stop. Just stop. If you're a stranger, then leave. I look at the healer. She looks back, her expression grim. She doesn't have to say it out loud. The monitors already are. Eirlys' pulse is climbing again, climbing fast. Her magic is spiraling without an anchor. If I walk out, she will crash. If I stay, I become the man who lied his way into her bed space. Eirlys squeezes her eyes shut, breathing hard as the room begins to tilt around her. Please, she whispers, and I don't know if she's saying it to me or to her own body. I step closer, not touching, never touching without permission, and her breath catches as relief betrays her. Her eyes open again, blazing with rage at herself as much as at me. Don't you dare feel necessary, she hisses. Don't you dare make me need you. My throat tightens until it hurts. I don't want you to need me, I say, voice low. I want you alive. The security officer murmurs to the healer. We should restrain. No, I snap, and the alpha edge in my tone makes him go still. I force myself to soften immediately because Eirlys flinches at the sound. No restraints, not unless she's hurting herself. The healer nods once, relieved. Eirlys' gaze cuts into me like glass. So what now? She demands. You sit there and pretend your scent is medicine and your eyes are what? Comfort. I swallow. There is a truth I haven't said yet, because it's ugly and it makes me look worse. But it's the core of everything. Now, I say quietly, I tell you the whole truth. I stayed because the doctors said your body stabilizes around my scent, and I didn't correct them because I was afraid you'd die if they separated us. Eirlys' laugh breaks, half sob, half scoff. That's not romantic, she whispers. No, I agree. It's not. The healer clears her throat, trying to regain control of the room. Ms. Vale, we also need to inform you your attacker attempted to breach this ward an hour ago. Eirlys goes cold. What? The officer nods. Someone tested the perimeter, a probe spell. It failed, but it means they're close. The ward sigil hum deepens, like a warning bell under the floor. Eirlys' gaze flickers to the window where rain smears the city into a watercolor blur. Her hands tremble on the sheet. So I'm not safe here. The healer's face is pale. Hospitals are not fortresses, even with wards. Eirlys looks at me again, and this time the fury has a crack in it where fear shows through. And you, she says, voice raw, you're telling me you're not my mate, but you're also telling me my body falls apart when you leave. I nod once, unable to pretend otherwise. She stares at me like she's deciding whether to throw me out or grab me like a lifeline. Her voice drops to a whisper that hurts more than any shout. If you're a stranger, why does it feel like my skin remembers you? The question hangs between us, heavy as thunder. Outside, somewhere beyond the warded door, a distant alarm begins to sound, low at first, then rising. The healer turns her head sharply. That's the perimeter system. The officer's hand goes to his rune cuffs. We have movement. Eirlys' eyes widen, and her scent flares fear, magic, the sharp edge of survival. The ward sigil hum becomes a vibrating note in my teeth. I lean closer, voice a vow spoken into the space she can't escape. Listen to me. Whatever you think I am, liar, stranger, anchor, I will not let them take you. Her gaze locks onto mine, and in it I see the terrible truth. She might not trust me, but her body already does. The door handle rattles once. Then, softly, almost politely, someone knocks from the outside. 3 taps, exactly like the healer did. And a voice I don't recognize calls, Ms. Vale, it's your sister. Please open the door. Eirlys goes rigid. I don't have a sister, she whispers. Neither of us breathes. Because the voice on the other side says her name like it knows the taste of it. And the wards, for the first time since I arrived, flicker. Eirlys, the 3 taps echo inside my ribs. I don't have a sister, I whisper again, because if I say it twice it has to become true. Iden's gaze cuts to the ward sigil near the door. The chalk line trembles, hairline cracks webbing through the symbol like frost spreading across glass. The air tastes metallic. Outside, the voice turns sweet, coaxing. Eirlys, please, they won't let me see you, just open up. My skin goes cold first, then hot, like my body can't decide whether to run or fight. The sound is too close, too practiced, like someone borrowed it from a memory I no longer own. The healer Eirlys, her name tag says, backs up a step, fingers lifting as if to cast. That isn't, the ward flickers again. Iden moves without asking. He places himself between the bed and the door, one hand braced on the bedrail, the other hovering at his belt where a ward knife sheath is clipped. Not a gun. In this world, steel isn't what cuts deepest. The security officer mutters, perimeter's failing, someone's inside the corridor ward. A new sound slides under the alarm, a low, wet crackle, spell pressure, like heat building before lightning. My heart pounds so hard my vision pulses with it. What do they want? I ask, and I hate how small it comes out. Eirlys answers like she's already decided I deserve truth even if it terrifies me. If you're a witness, they want your silence. If you're cursed, they want to complete the work. And if you're both, the door handle turns. The door does not open because the ward still stands, but the metal groans as if something on the other side is persuading it to forget its purpose. Iden's voice drops, intimate and fierce. When I tell you to move, you move, no arguing. I can't even stand without vomiting, I hiss back, anger flaring to cover fear. His eyes flick to mine. Then you'll lean on me. The ward sigil gives a final, bright shiver. Eirlys throws her hand forward. A thin ribbon of light snaps from her fingers to the doorframe, reinforcing the chalk lines like stitches. The glow lasts half a second. Then a black seam opens in the air beside the door, as if someone sliced the room itself. A hand reaches through. Not human, or maybe human, warped, fingers too long, nails ink dark, skin marked with a crawling lattice of runes. I make a sound I can't stop. The security officer lunges, rune cuffs flashing. He slams them toward the intruding wrist, and the cuffs spark, biting into the rune-marked skin. The hand jerks back, but not before the seam widens. A face leans into the tear, smiling with someone else's mouth. Eirlys veil, it purrs, and the sound carries the weight of command magic. Come here. My body reacts wrong. My muscles twitch, as if the words have hooks in them. I can feel my magic shiver awake, answering the call like a dog that's been trained with pain. Iden's scent floods my lungs, juniper, stormstone, a dark warmth that feels like a wall snapping into place. The twitch stops. My spine locks in defiance instead of obedience. He growls, low and not meant for human ears. You don't get to call her. The thing's smile widens. You're in the way, Thorn. Iden's head tilts a fraction. So you do know me. Everyone knows the grieving wolf, the thing says softly. How touching, how predictable. The seam spasms, widening again, and something pushes through, shoulders, torso, a full-bodied construct dragging itself out of the rip. It smells like burned paper and sugar rot. Malley swears. It's a lure simulacrum, don't look at its eyes. Too late, I already did. The construct's gaze hits mine and the room tilts. For one sick moment, I feel a memory try to surface. Someone calling me sister, someone holding my hand, someone laughing, and it's so convincing I almost sob with relief. Then the memory curdles. The laughter becomes a scream. I clamp my eyes shut, nails digging into my palms. It's lying, I whisper to myself. It's lying. Iden's hand lands on the mattress near my hip, not touching me, just close enough that the heat of him bleeds through the air. Stay with me, he says, and the words pull me back like a rope. Steel sings. He's drawn the ward knife. The blade is short, matte, etched with a spiral of counter-runes. He steps into the construct's reach before it can fully materialize and drives the knife through its chest. The thing shudders. It laughs anyway. Black threads whip from its body toward my bed like hungry vines. Iden twists, slashing through the threads. The ward knife hums, severing spellwork the way ordinary metal never could. Still, one thread gets past him, snapping toward my throat. Malley's catches it with her bare hand. Light flares. Her face tightens in pain, and the thread burns away like paper in a flame. The construct shrieks, sound turning the back of my skull into a ringing bell. The security officer yanks the rune cuffs hard. Now, Iden moves. He scoops me up fast, brutal, efficient, one arm under my knees, one behind my back. I should protest. I should scream at him to put me down. My body collapses against his chest as if it's been waiting for permission. Humiliation floods me so hot I could choke on it, but terror is hotter. The seam in the air widens again, and something else starts to push through, bigger, heavier, wronger. Malley's ward light flickers. Sweat beads at her hairline. Serve a stairwell, she snaps. Go, Iden runs. The world becomes a blur of white corridor, flashing red alarms, shouted orders. My stomach lurches with every stride, but his scent keeps my consciousness pinned in place. He's a moving shelter, and I hate that my body knows it. A door slams open. Cold air hits my face, rain-scented, city-dirty, alive. We plunge down a stairwell, footsteps thundering above. The hospital's protective hum fades behind us like a heartbeat receding. Halfway down, a blast rattles the building. The lights flicker. Dust sifts from the ceiling. The construct found another way in. Iden doesn't slow. He shifts me closer to his chest, shielding my head with his shoulder as if he expects debris. My cheek presses to the fabric of his shirt, and I catch the faintest trace of something else under the juniper, salt, smoke, and grief. We burst out into a service bay where ambulances wait like sleeping beasts. Rain sheets down, icy, relentless. A van's back doors are open, engine running. Eirlys stands there, soaked, hair plastered to her forehead, one hand raised in a warding sign. She doesn't look like a gentle healer now. She looks like someone who has cut through curses before and survived. "Inside," she orders. Iden throws us into the van. The doors slam. The vehicle lurches forward, tires squealing on wet concrete, and the hospital falls away behind us into a smear of lights and sirens. Only when the distance grows does my body start to realize what happened. My hands begin to shake. My breath comes in shallow, ugly pulls. Iden shifts beside me on the bench seat, still holding me because he never put me down. His arms are iron around my back and knees, unyielding. "Put me," I start, but my voice breaks. He looks down at me. His gray eyes are bloodshot, hard around the edges, as if he's been living without sleep and calling it discipline. "When you can stand without collapsing, I will," he says. No softness, no teasing, just truth. Eirlys sits across from us, bracing herself as the van swerves. "They used a name hook," she says grimly. "That thing was keyed to Eirlys' true name and blood. Someone has access to her registry information." "Who?" I whisper. Eirlys' gaze meets mine. "Someone with authority, authority." The word tastes like a locked door. I swallow. "What happens if I'm alone?" Eirlys doesn't sugarcoat. "Your magic will spike. Your nervous system will panic. You might have a seizure. Or your omega instincts might seek the nearest bond resonance and imprint on the wrong person out of desperation." My stomach drops. Imprint. Iden's jaw tightens like he's biting down on something sharp. Eirlys continues, clinical and merciless. "It's rare. It's also why we don't separate you from him right now, whether you like him or not." The van hits a pothole. I jolt, pain blooming behind my eyes. Memories threaten, flashes of alley rain, a scream, a bright blade, a smell like lavender smoke. I clamp down. My gaze slides to Iden. "So I'm trapped with you." He doesn't deny it, for now. The simplicity of it makes my throat ache. I stare at him, fury rising, then faltering because it has nowhere safe to land. "You lied." "You let them think?" "I know," he says. "And you carried me like property." His eyes flicker. "Like someone I refuse to let die." I should spit at him. I should tell him he's not my hero, he's my cage. Instead, my body melts closer, desperate for the anchor it hates needing. The contradiction makes me feel filthy. Eirlys watches me, then looks away, giving me a shred of dignity. "We're going to a safe house," she says. "Inspector Leontine Carfax is waiting." She's with internal wards, clean hands, as far as I can tell. Internal wards. Even the phrase sounds like a room with no windows. The city slides by outside in gray streaks and neon smears. My life is somewhere in those lights, and I can't reach it. My throat tightens. What if I never remember? Iden's hold around me loosens a fraction, as if he's afraid of hurting me with his strength. His voice drops. "Then we build from scratch," he says, and something in him breaks on the last word. I lift my eyes to his. "We." His gaze holds mine, steady and unflinching. "If you let me." I don't answer. I can't. Because the worst part is that my body already did. Iden, she trembles in my arms like she's cold, but I know it isn't the rain. It's the aftermath, adrenaline draining, shock settling, her mind clawing at blank walls. I hate myself for being the only thing that steadies her. I hate whoever made it true. The simulacrum's words still scrape at me, grieving wolf. As if my grief is public property. As if the most private wound I own is a handle strangers can use to move me. I keep my face calm because Eirlys is watching, even when she pretends she is. Omegas notice everything when they're frightened. It's a survival skill carved into their bones by centuries of being hunted and protected in equal measure. Mally's safe house sits above an old apothecary shop in the Cinderglass district, tucked between a bakery and a pawnbroker that sells wardstones in the window like they're antique jewelry. The building looks ordinary. That's the point. We enter through the back, up narrow stairs that smell of dust and dried herbs. The apartment has wards etched into the doorframe, real ones, deep, not chalk. Permanent. Expensive. Inspector Leontine Carfax waits inside. She's tall, broad-shouldered, hair pinned into a severe twist, eyes the color of dark tea. Her suit is plain, but the sigil on her lapel is not. A stylized eye crossed by a bar, the emblem of internal wards. Her gaze flicks over Eirlys first, assessing injuries, pallor, tremor, then over me, colder. Mr. Thorne, I didn't bring her here to be arrested, I say. Good, Carfax replies, because I didn't come here to arrest you. Yet. Eirlys makes a sound, half laugh, half choke. That's reassuring. Carfax's expression softens by a millimeter. Ms. Vale, I'm sorry, you're in a storm you didn't choose. Eirlys' shoulders hitch as if the kindness punches her harder than cruelty would. Mally's gestures toward the living room. Sit, both of you. I lower Eirlys onto the couch. The moment I release her, her fingers grab my wrist, fast and involuntary. Her eyes flash with anger at herself. I'm not, she starts. It's fine, I say quietly, and take the insult of her shame into my chest without flinching. Carfax watches the gesture with a calculating stillness. So the hospital wards failed, she says. That tells us the attacker has either access to hospital schematics or a mage strong enough to brute force. But brute force is messy. This was tailored. Mally's sits on the armchair, exhausted. They used a name hook. Carfax's jaw tightens. Then our problem is inside the registry. Eirlys swallows. You keep saying registry like it's a vault. It is, Carfax says. Names, secondary designations, bond status, bloodline records. It's supposed to be sacred. It's also a weapon in the wrong hands. Eirlys' grip on my wrist tightens. I can feel her pulse racing through her fingers. Carfax opens a slim folder and slides photos onto the table. Crime scene shots, blurred enough to be merciful, but clear enough to be sickening. A body sprawled near a fountain in a courtyard, blood dark against pale stone. A ring on the victim's hand, signet style, engraved with a crest that looks like a bird in flight. Eirlys' breath catches. Carfax leans forward. You were found with this. She places an evidence bag on the table. Inside it is the cracked wardstone Mally's mentioned, veined with silver. Eirlys stares at it as if it's alive. I don't remember. I know. Carfax's voice is calm, controlled. But your blood is on the fracture line. It was keyed to you. Someone gave it to you to protect you. Eirlys' lips part. Her eyes go distant, not with thought, but with something trying to surface. I had it in my pocket. Mally's nods. Yes. Carfax taps the photo with the ring. The victim is Counselor Oryx Velorian. He oversaw registry oversight. Eirlys flinches at the name. The air around her prickles, and the ward lines in the room hum faintly, responsive to her surge. Carfax continues. Whoever killed him did it because he was about to expose corruption, or because he was part of it and someone tied off a loose end. Either way, his death cracked the system, and you, Ms. Vale, were close enough to be targeted with memory erasure. Eirlys' voice drops. Why me? Carfax studies her. Because you were there, because you saw something, and because you were moving with purpose. Eirlys looks at me like the last words have weight. Moving with purpose. As if I wasn't just some woman walking in the rain. Carfax's gaze turns to me again. Mr. Thorne, explain your involvement. I keep my hands open on my knees, showing no threat. I found her. She was bleeding in an alley off Glaive Street. There were curse marks on the brick and a residual scent of lavender smoke. Mally stiffens. Lavender smoke, mnemonic fog, that's erasure work. Carfax nods once, grim satisfaction. Good. So we agree it was deliberate. Eirlys' fingers loosen on my wrist, then slide down to my hand, holding it like she's drowning. The choice seems to humiliate her more than any insult. She whispers, "You said you found me dying, and you stayed because your scent helps." Yes. Her eyes lift to mine, wet and furious. So what are you to me? The answer lodged in my throat is dangerous. I should say the truth as I believe it, a stranger who couldn't walk away. That's already messy enough. But something else has been gnawing at me since the simulacrum said my name like it knew me. Since the attack felt like it had rehearsed my reactions. I choose the honest uncertainty. I don't know, I say, but I think someone else does. Carfax leans back. We have a plan. Ms. Vale, I need to trigger your memory in a controlled way. Eirlys stiffens. How? Carfax points to the wardstone. This crack is a fracture in a keyed protection charm. Sometimes, in high-grade charms, the key is also a record, a braided imprint of what the charm was meant to protect you from. If we can coax it open, it may show a residue image. Not a full memory, a trace. Eirlys' throat works. And if it goes wrong, Mally's answers quietly. Your magic could spike, that's why he needs to be here. Eirlys' gaze flicks to me like she resents the necessity. Carfax stands. Then we do it now, while the attacker is still adjusting. I've got a ward circle prepared. She leads us into a back room with a chalk circle drawn on the wooden floor, layered symbols intersecting like a complex knot. The air is cooler here. The walls are lined with shelves of old jars, salt, iron filings, dried rosemary, crushed obsidian. Mally's takes position at one point of the circle, Carfax at another. They look like two people about to hold down a storm. Eirlys stands at the edge, swaying. I step close, not touching, letting my scent fill her space. Her shoulders drop a fraction. Tell me before you do anything, she says, voice thin. I will, Carfax promises. You're in control. If you say stop, we stop. Eirlys' laugh is bitter. Control, sure. She steps into the circle anyway. I follow, stopping just behind her shoulder, close enough that her back nearly brushes my chest. She doesn't move away. Carfax places the cracked wardstone in Eirlys' palm. Hold it, breathe. Focus on the last thing you remember. Eirlys' fingers curl around the stone. White ceiling, she whispers. Beeping, Carfax nods. Now focus on the last feeling you had before that. Eirlys goes still. Her scent changes, fear shifting into something sharper, more specific. Recognition without context. The kind of terror that has a face you can't quite see. I was running, she whispers. Rain, my shoes slipping. My stomach clenches. I watch her knuckles whiten around the stone. Mally's begins to murmur an incantation, soft and rhythmic, like a lullaby for cursed objects. Carfax adds her own words, firmer, threaded with authority. The wardstone warms in Eirlys' hand. The air hums. Eirlys' breath catches hard. Someone grabbed me. I instinctively step closer. Her shoulder brushes my chest, and her magic flares, then settles as if my presence is a lid. Carfax's voice cuts in. Look, don't fight it. Tell me what you see. Eirlys' eyes unfocus. A courtyard, she whispers. Stone, a fountain. Carfax and Mally's exchange a glance. Eirlys' voice trembles. A man is on the ground, there's blood. So much, her knees buckle. I catch her, hands at her waist, holding her upright. She makes a sound of protest that dies immediately because she needs the support. I can't, she gasps. I can't breathe. Breathe with me, I murmur close to her ear. Slow inhale, slow exhale. Her lungs follow, unwillingly obedient. Carfax's tone remains steady. The killer, do you see them? Eirlys' head jerks as if something yanked it. A cloak, dark. But their hand, her fingers spasm around the wardstone. Their hand has a ring, she whispers. A bird, like the picture. Carfax's eyes narrow. A signet ring, good. Eirlys' face twists. They look at me, they know I'm there. Her voice breaks, and suddenly I feel it, her magic pushing against her skull like it wants out. The ward circle brightens, chalk lines glowing faintly. Mally snaps. Iden, hold her tighter. I do, wrapping her against me, anchoring her spine to my chest. My scent deepens. Alpha instinct rises, not dominance, containment, protection, the oldest kind. Eirlys sobs once, the sound ripped out of her without consent. They said my name. Carfax leans forward. Which name? Eirlys' eyes widen, horror blooming. Not Eirlys, another. They called me, she chokes. The wardstone slips in her sweaty palm and the crack catches the light. Then it happens. A memory sharp as glass slashes through her. I feel her go rigid. Her scent changes from fear to something rawer, older, intimate in a way that makes my throat constrict. She whispers, Iden, my name, but not as accusation, as recognition. The ward circle flares bright. Chalk burns white-hot for a heartbeat, then dims again. Eirlys' knees give out completely. I lower us both to the floor inside the circle, keeping her cradled against my chest like I'm afraid she'll shatter if I set her down wrong. Her hands clutch my shirt. I was going to you, she whispers, voice shaking. Before the attack, I was supposed to meet you. Carfax freezes. You knew him. Eirlys' eyes meet mine, frantic. I knew you, and you don't remember me. My mouth goes dry, because she's right. There is nothing in my head that matches the way her voice says my name, like she said it 1,000 times in the dark, like it belongs to her. Mally's face goes pale. This wasn't just an erasure of her memory, she whispers. It's a severance. Carfax's gaze snaps to me. Mr. Thorne, any history of mnemonic fog, any missing time? I stare down at Eirlys, at the way she clings like she's terrified she's dreamed this recognition. I think of my mate's funeral, the closed casket. The smell of lavender smoke that day, too, faint in the chapel, dismissed as incense. My stomach turns. Yes, I say hoarsely. 2 years ago, after my mate died. Eirlys shakes her head, eyes wild. No, she whispers. No, that's wrong. That's wrong, Carfax's voice is like iron. Then we have a bigger conspiracy than a single murder. Someone is erasing bonds. The words land like a verdict. Eirlys presses her forehead to my chest, shaking. They took my life, she whispers. They took it and left me empty. I close my eyes. The vow I swore at a grave 2 winters ago cracks down the middle, because if someone stole my memory too, then my vow was built on a lie. And if the lie was deliberate, then Eirlys isn't a stranger I rescued. She might be the person I've been grieving without knowing her name. Eirlys, I wake on the couch with a blanket over me and rain tapping the window like patient fingers. My head aches in a deep, bruised way. My throat is dry. My body feels used up, like I ran for miles. Iden sits on the floor beside the couch, back against the coffee table, arms folded over his knees. He hasn't slept. He looks like a man holding himself together through pure spite. When my gaze meets his, something in my chest twists so hard it steals my breath. Not memory, not exactly. More like my body remembers a shape of safety, and his shape fits it too well. I sit up slowly. Dizziness nips at the edge of my vision, but it doesn't take me under. His scent is here, saturating the room. My nervous system loosens its claws. I hate the relief, and I crave it at the same time. Carfax stands by the kitchen counter, speaking quietly into a comm device. She glances over, then clicks it off. Welcome back. My voice scrapes. Did I say anything else? Mally's, slumped in an armchair with a mug of tea, answers without looking up. Enough, enough. That word is a stone I swallow. I remember a fountain, blood, a ring. Carfax nods. That ring is the crest of House Sorin, old registry nobility. The bird is a shrike. Iden's jaw tenses. Carfax continues. We pulled access logs from the hospital perimeter wards. The breach signature matched a registry key, one only oversight officials should have. So someone inside internal wards, I ask, fear turning cold. Carfax's eyes sharpen. Or someone who can mimic our signatures. Either way, the trail points to the registry spire. The registry spire. The name pulls at something inside me, an image of black stone rising into rain, brass doors, a smell of ink and old paper. I squeeze my eyes shut. I don't want to go near it. You don't have to, I say automatically, then realize the voice is Iden's. He stands, slowly, careful not to loom. We can run, he tells me. I can get you out of the city, new names, quiet place, no registry. The offer hits me like a blow, because it's what a rescuer would say. But it's also what someone who wants to isolate a vulnerable Omega might say. My stomach turns. Why would you do that for me? His eyes hold mine. Because you're being hunted. That's not enough, I whisper. His face tightens, then softens into something almost unbearable. Because when you said my name in the circle, it felt like being found. My throat closes. Carfax clears her throat. Feelings later. Survival now. Ms. Vale, you don't have full memory, but you have something rare. A cracked ward stone that may contain residue images. If we take it to the spire's archive lens, we can extract the imprint safely and identify the ring's owner. Safely, I echo. Mally snorts into her tea. As safe as walking into a lion's den wearing perfume. I stare at the blanket pooled in my lap, at my own trembling hands. And if the imprint shows something else, Mally's gaze meets mine, gentler. Then we'll deal with that too. A silence stretches. Rain ticks. Somewhere in the building, pipes groan. I look at Iden. If I go, I say, voice unsteady, you tell me everything. No more letting assumptions stand. No more pretty stories. He nods once. Agreed. And if I tell you to leave, I add, forcing the words past the knot in my throat, you do it, even if my body panics. His expression tightens like pain. Eirlys, promise, I insist. His hands flex at his sides. For a second, the alpha in him wars with the man. Then he nods, slow, I promise. My chest loosens, just a fraction. Trust doesn't bloom, but a thin bridge appears. Carfax stands straighter. Then we move at dusk. Less foot traffic, more cover. Mally's rises, rolling her shoulders like a soldier. I'll reinforce your skin wards, she says to me. It'll itch. Don't scratch. I blink. Skin wards. She gives me a look that says I'm about to learn the rules the hard way. Passive sigils on your collarbone and ribs. They'll blur your aura signature so name hooks can't lock on as easily. I swallow. Do it. Mally steps close with a small jar of ink that smells like cloves and iron. She dips her finger and begins to draw on my skin just below my collarbone. The ink is cold at first, then warm, then it starts to tingle like a low-grade burn. I tense. Iden's scent shifts, deepening. He doesn't touch me. He doesn't speak. But he leans nearer, close enough that I can breathe him in and my body stops trying to bolt. I want to scream at myself for the weakness. I want to lean into him harder. I do neither. I sit still and endure the sting while rain taps the window, and my life rearranges itself around a man I don't fully trust and can't fully let go. Iden dusk turns the city into bruised purple and gold. We move through back streets, hoods up, Mally's in front, Carfax behind, Eirlys between me and the wall. Carfax carries an iron case with the wardstone inside and a portable muffler rune to dampen its signature. Eirlys carries nothing visible, which means she's carrying something worse, spellwork in her bones. Eirlys keeps her chin lifted, but her steps are small. Her eyes scan every shadow. She's brave in a way that doesn't ask permission. The registry spire rises ahead, black stones spearing the clouded sky. Its doors are brass, etched with thousands of names so tiny they look like texture until you get close enough to feel the weight of them. Carfax flashes a badge sigil at the ward sentinels. They are not men with guns. They are constructs, stone and metal shaped like knights, with hollow helms that glow faintly when they judge you. They step aside. Inside, the air is dry, smelling of ink, old parchment, and ozone from ward lines. Eirlys inhales and staggers. Her magic prickles restless. My instincts surge. I step closer, keeping my shoulder near hers so she can breathe me in without having to admit she's doing it. She mutters, "I hate that this helps." "I hate that you need it," I murmur back. We pass rows of desks where clerks work under lamplight, stamping papers, binding ledgers. Everyone looks up once and then looks away quickly, like they've learned not to notice people who walk with internal wards. Carfax leads us down a corridor marked Archival Lens Chamber, authorized personnel only. A door opens under her sigil. Cold air spills out. The room beyond is circular, with a glass lens suspended in the center like a captured moon. Under it is a basin of black water that reflects nothing unless commanded. Carfax sets the iron case on a pedestal. "This lens reads residue imprints from keyed objects," she says quietly. "It will not restore full memory. It will show what the charm recorded at the moment it fractured." Eirlys' fingers twist in her sleeves. "And if it shows me dying," Eirlys answers, voice low, "then you'll see it, and you'll survive it." Carfax opens the case. The cracked wardstone lies inside like a broken tooth. Eirlys steps forward, then hesitates. Her gaze flicks to me, involuntary. I don't touch her. I simply move closer until the line of my body is a presence at her back, a silent promise that if she falls, she won't hit the floor. She reaches into the case and lifts the stone. Her hands shake. "Place it in the basin," Carfax instructs. Eirlys lowers it into the black water. The surface ripples outward, then stills, too still, like it's holding its breath. Carfax speaks a command word. The lens above hums. Light threads down, thin as spider silk, touching the water. The basin turns into a screen. An image blooms, a courtyard, a fountain, rain, a body on pale stone, Counselor Valorian eyes open and empty. The signet ring glints on a hand nearby, not on the corpse, but on someone crouched beside it. Eirlys makes a broken sound. The crouching figure stands. Cloaked, face blurred as if the lens refuses to grant it clarity. But the hand with the ring lifts and presses 2 fingers to the victim's throat, checking, almost tenderly. Then the figure turns toward the lens's point of view, toward Eirlys. The figure speaks, and though the image has no sound, the basin water ripples with the shape of the words. Carfax murmurs, translating, "You were not supposed to see." The figure steps closer, and the lens catches a detail. A second ring on the other hand, plain band, engraved inside with a tiny spiral. Eirlys sucks in a breath. "That's a bond band engraving." My blood goes cold. The figure reaches into Eirlys' coat pocket, into the lens's point of view, touches the wardstone. A spark flashes. The wardstone fractures. Then the image jolts violently as if Eirlys ran, dark alley. Brick. Lavender smoke pouring like fog. A hand grabs Eirlys' hair and yanks her head back. Her face appears in the basin reflection for the first time. My stomach clenches. Even blurred by residue, she looks like a stranger and like a catastrophe I've been circling for years. The cloaked figure leans close to her ear and breathes something into the lavender fog. The basin water ripples again with silent words. Carfax's voice goes flat. Forget. Eirlys' knees buckle. She staggers back, hand flying to her throat. I catch her finally touching my hands on her shoulders, grounding her. The moment contact happens, her magic surges and then calms like it hit a shore. She shudders, breathing in ragged pulls. They erased me, she whispers. They erased. Her eyes widen, and she looks at my hands on her shoulders as if they're a clue. Then she whispers, almost inaudible, they erased you too. Carfax steps closer to the basin, staring at the ring engraving. Bond band engraving means the killer is bonded, or was. Eirlys' voice is tight, and a registry official would know how to sever a bond record without leaving obvious traces. Carfax looks up sharply. No, not without leaving traces, unless the trace is hidden in a false narrative. My stomach turns over. False narrative, a closed casket, lavender smoke, a grief that never fit right because it was too sudden, too cleanly packaged. Eirlys grips my sleeve. Her nails bite through fabric into skin. You said your mate died, she whispers, voice trembling. What if that was part of it? I stare at the basin, where the last residue image clings, lavender fog swallowing the alley like a mouth. Carfax speaks softly, almost to herself. If someone can erase memories, they can manufacture grief. They can make you bury a stranger and call it closure. Eirlys' eyes fill with tears. She fights like an enemy. Who would do that? Carfax's gaze hardens. Someone who profits from controlling bonds and names. A new voice answers from the doorway, smooth as oil. How dramatic, we whirl. A man stands in the arch, hands clasped behind his back as if he's inspecting an art gallery. His hair is silver at the temples, his robe immaculate, and his smile is polite in the way knives are polite before they cut. On his lapel is an oversight crest, a shrike in flight. Eirlys goes rigid against me. Her scent spikes, recognition and terror braided tight. Carfax's hand goes to her comm device. Director Severin Sorin. The man inclines his head. Inspector Carfax, Healer Eirlys, and Mr. Thorne, of course. His eyes slide to Eirlys. And my little complication, awake at last. My grip tightens reflexively on Eirlys' shoulders. She trembles, but she doesn't shrink. She lifts her chin, eyes blazing through fear. I don't know you, she says, voice shaking. But I know you're the reason my mind is empty. Severin's smile widens slightly, indulgent. Empty minds are quiet minds. Quiet minds don't disrupt institutions. Carfax steps forward, voice dangerous. You're admitting. I'm admitting nothing, Severin says pleasantly. But I am here to retrieve registry property. Eirlys' fingers curl into my sleeve. I can feel how badly she wants to run and how badly her body refuses to move away from me. Eirlys lifts her hand. Light gathers between her fingers, bright and sharp. Take one more step, and I'll burn the shrike off your lapel. Severin's eyes flick to Eirlys' light, amused. You won't. You're a healer, bound by oath. Eirlys' expression turns vicious. My oath is to patients, not tyrants. Carfax's voice cuts through. Director, you're under investigation for misuse of registry keys and bond tampering. Severin sighs as if bored. Internal wards investigating itself. How charming. His gaze returns to Eirlys. Come, Eirlys, you were always sensible before you got sentimental. The word sentimental hits Eirlys like a slap. She flinches, and a memory fragment sparks, so fast I see it in her eyes. A desk, papers, her own handwriting, Severin's voice saying her name like ownership. Her breath hitches. I worked for you, she whispers, horrified. Severin smiles, in a manner of speaking. Carfax's jaw clenches. You used her. She saw Valorian's murder because she was doing your work. Eirlys shakes her head, tears finally spilling. No. I was going to, she looks at me, and something deep in her gaze turns desperate. I was going to you. Severin's eyes sharpen. Ah, that. His polite mask slips just enough to show contempt. Always the inconvenient variable, a bond that refused to stay buried. My blood turns to ice. You know about us, I growl. Severin's gaze meets mine with clinical interest. Of course. Do you know how rare it is to find a resonance pair strong enough to stabilize volatile magic without formal bonding? You were useful. Eirlys makes a strangled sound. Useful? Severin continues, tone conversational. We didn't intend for you to survive the alley, Mr. Thorne, but you did, and you stayed. He tilts his head, which complicates my cleanup. Carfax's hand lifts, palm outward, a command sigil. Director Severin Sorin, you are ordered to stand down. Severin's smile returns, too calm. You can order all you like. He raises one finger. The ward lines in the room flicker. The lens hum becomes a scream. The basin water boils black. Mallys swears and throws her light forward, slamming it into the lens's support runes. Carfax does the same with a counter-command, voice sharp and authoritative. The room becomes a cage of clashing spell frequencies. Eirlys clutches me, shaking. He's going to. Severin's gaze locks onto her. Forget again, he murmurs, and the word isn't silent this time. It's spoken aloud, weighted with registry authority and namehook magic. I feel it hit her like a punch. Her eyes go blank for half a second. Panic explodes through me. I yank her closer, pressing her face into my chest, forcing my scent over her senses, drowning the command word in something older than language. Stay, I rasp into her hair. Stay with me. Her fingers claw at my shirt like she's trying to anchor herself to my skin. Mallys shouts, Eirlys, bite your tongue. Eirlys obeys. Blood beads at the corner of her mouth. Pain snaps her back into her body. She gasps, eyes clearing with a sob. Carfax's voice becomes a whip. Mallys now. Mallys slams her palm onto the chalk line by the doorway. The ink on Eirlys' collarbone burns hot. I smell clove and iron. Eirlys cries out. Her aura blurs literally in the way magic shifts the eye's perception. Her signature becomes slippery, hard to hook. Severin's gaze narrows. Clever. Carfax lunges, faster than I expected, and snaps a rune cuff onto Severin's wrist. The cuff sparks, biting into his skin. Severin's smile vanishes. The ward lines stabilize suddenly, as if a cord was cut. The lens hum drops to a low, angry buzz. Severin jerks his cuffed hand, but the rune cuff holds, glowing bright. Carfax's eyes are cold. Internal wards doesn't investigate itself, she says. It investigates you. Severin's gaze flicks to Eirlys one last time, and in it I see promise, vengeance deferred, not denied. Then the spire's sentinels move. Stone knights step into the room, helms glowing, and seize Severin's other arm with inhuman strength. He doesn't struggle much. He simply watches Eirlys over their shoulders. Do you know what happens, he says softly, when you remember everything, when you remember what you asked me to do? Eirlys goes pale. I didn't ask you for anything, she whispers, but her voice shakes like a lie she's saying to herself. Severin's smile returns, thin. We'll see. The sentinels drag him out. Silence crashes down. Eirlys sways. I tighten my hold, and this time she doesn't protest. She just breathes, shaking. Carfax exhales hard, then looks at us both. We got him, she says, but that doesn't mean we're done. Mallys wipes sweat from her brow. No, it means the real work starts. Eirlys lifts her gaze to me, eyes red. What did he mean? What did I ask him to do? I don't know, and that's the most frightening thing of all, because if her memory was manipulated, guilt could be part of the trap. Carfax's voice softens. We will extract more from the wardstone, carefully, piece by piece, and we'll cross-check it with registry records Severin can't alter now that he's cuffed. Eirlys' lips tremble. And if the records say I was bonded? Carfax's eyes flick to me, then back to her. Then you'll have a choice. Eirlys whispers. What choice? Carfax answers simply. Whether to start again. Eirlys, we don't go back to the safe house that night. Carfax takes us to an internal ward's suite above the spire, behind door after door of sigils that make the air feel thick. The windows are narrow and high. The wards hum like bees. It should feel like safety. It feels like captivity with nicer locks. They give me tea. They give me a medical scan. They check my skin wards, re-ink the lines where they've smudged. Mally stays with me the whole time, her presence blunt and grounding. Iden is kept in the outer room with a sentinel. Protocol, Carfax says. I'm sorry. I say nothing, but my body knows the difference immediately. The air feels thinner without him near. My pulse climbs. My hands shake. I hate that he's the anchor. I hate that the anchor is a man who lied, even if he lied to keep me breathing. When Carfax returns with another folder, my stomach knots. She sits across from me at a small table and slides a single page forward. It's a registry excerpt, clean, precise, stamped in ink that looks older than the paper. Bond record, Eirlys Vale, Identhorne. Status, SEALED. Date, redacted by oversight order. My vision blurs. It's real, I whisper. Carfax nods. It was sealed, not dissolved. That matters. Sealed bonds are meant to be hidden, not broken. My fingers hover over the paper, afraid to touch it like it might burn. Mally's murmurs. A sealed bond is usually used in witness protection or in high-level political cover. My throat tightens. So we were together. Carfax's gaze is steady. Yes. The room tilts. Emotion slams into me, grief for something I can't remember losing, rage at whoever took it, fear of what it means, and an ache so deep it feels like hunger. I look toward the door as if my body can summon him. Carfax watches me, then speaks gently. You asked earlier why you were a target. Severin didn't just erase your memory to silence a witness. He erased it to sever a bond that threatened him. Why would our bond threaten him? I whisper. Mally's answers before Carfax can. Because bonds are leverage, and true bonds are the kind you can't buy. Carfax flips another page. A photo of a ledger. A list of names. Counselor Valorian's handwriting. Notes in the margin. One line is circled. SEVERIN unauthorized sealing of bond records. My stomach twists. He was sealing other people's bonds. Carfax nods. We believe he was erasing pairings that didn't serve his interests and replacing them with political matches. Registry power lets you do monstrous things if no one stops you. A memory fragment flickers, my own voice, furious, saying this isn't love, it's trafficking with paperwork. I grip the edge of the table. I tried to stop him. Carfax's eyes soften. Yes, and Valorian was going to help you. Mally's leans forward. And you went to Iden, because he's not just muscle, she stops, as if realizing she's about to say something personal. Carfax finishes quietly. He was your contingency, your safe point. The person you trusted when the institution turned poisonous. My breath shudders out of me. Tears slide down my face, hot and helpless. I don't want to cry in front of them, but I can't stop, because it means I had something real, something I chose, something that wasn't just my body reacting to scent. It also means I was ripped away from it. Carfax stands. I'll bring him in, she says. If you want. My voice comes out broken. I do. A few minutes later, the door opens. Iden steps in like he's walking into a room that might sentence him. His gaze finds mine and stops. His face tightens, then softens, then tightens again like he can't decide which emotion will keep him standing. Carfax leaves. Mally's lingers at the doorway for a beat, then quietly closes it behind her. We are alone. Silence stretches between us, heavy with everything we don't remember. I slide the registry excerpt across the table toward him. He reads it. I watch his throat move as he swallows. His hand trembles once, just once, before he stills it. He lifts his gaze to me. "It's true," he says hoarsely. I nod. My chest aches. "We were bonded." "Yes." "And you didn't remember," I whisper. He shakes his head slowly, grief carving lines into his face. "No," I stare at him, anger rising like a tide that finally found its shore. "You told me you had a mate who died." His eyes close briefly. When they open, they're wet. I believed it. "And you grieved her," I say, voice shaking. "You buried her." His jaw tightens. "Yes." I swallow, nausea rising. What if? What if that was me? What if I'm the one you buried? His eyes snap to mine, sharp with horror. "Don't. Answer me," I demand. He steps closer, stopping at the edge of my space like he's afraid of crowding me. "You're alive," he says, voice rough. "You're here, you're not in the ground." "That's not what I asked." He flinches. "I don't know what I buried," he admits, and the honesty in it is ugly and raw. The casket was closed. The body was warded. I wasn't allowed to see. My skin goes cold. "Why would you accept that?" His eyes harden with self-loathing. "Because I was broken. Because I was drugged with lavender smoke and told my grief was noble. Because I trusted the registry to tell me the truth." I stare at him, breath shaking. The institution that holds names and bonds is supposed to be sacred. It made him mourn a lie. It made me forget a life. My hands curl into fists. "I hate him," I whisper. Iden nods once, like he understands hatred intimately. "So do I stand, legs unsteady. He watches me carefully, ready to catch me if I sway. I step closer until we are inches apart. My body hums with recognition, heat spreading under my skin. It's not just scent now. It's something deeper, like an old groove in my bones guiding me toward him. I hate it. I want it. I lift my gaze to his. "If we were bonded," I whisper, "why doesn't it feel complete? Why do I feel like I'm starving?" His eyes darken. His voice drops. "Because sealed bonds can be muted, suppressed. A seal is a gag on the soul, Eirlys." My breath catches. He says my name like reverence now, not entitlement. It still scares me. I swallow. "Do you want it back?" His answer is immediate, too honest to be safe. "Yes." The word slams into my chest. I whisper, "Even if it kills us." His eyes hold mine, steady as stone. "I'd rather risk dying as myself than live as someone else's puppet." My throat tightens painfully. Emotion floods me, terror and longing, rage and relief. I take a shaky breath. "Then we start again," I say, voice barely holding. His expression breaks, just a fracture. He reaches up slowly, waiting. "Can I?" he asks. I nod. His fingertips brush my cheek, gentle, reverent, like he's touching something holy and fragile. The contact sends a shiver through me, and my magic hums low, content for the first time since I woke up. Tears spill again, but this time they feel like release. "I'm angry," I whisper. "I know," he murmurs. "I don't trust you completely," I confess, voice shaking. "I know," he repeats. And my body, my voice breaks on the humiliation. "My body keeps choosing you." His thumb wipes a tear from my cheek. "Your body isn't wrong," he says softly. "It's just ahead of your mind." I close my eyes, leaning into the touch despite myself. For one breath, the world narrows to his warmth and the sound of rain far away behind thick wards. Then I open my eyes again, forcing myself to face the reality. "What do we do now?" I ask. Iden's hand lowers slowly, as if he's afraid to take more than I give. "We finish what you started," he says. "We help Carfax lock Severin away. We unseal the bond properly with oversight that can't be corrupted. And then, I whisper. His gaze softens into something that hurts. "Then we live. Quiet if you want. Loud if you want, but real." My chest tightens. "Happy endings aren't real." His mouth twitches, almost a smile. "They're built." A knock taps the door. Carfax's voice comes through, controlled but urgent. "We have Severin in containment. He's cooperating." Iden's eyes narrow. Cooperating, Carfax answers. He wants a trade. Information for leniency. My stomach drops. About what? Carfax pauses just long enough to make my skin crawl. About the person who ordered him to seal your bond in the first place. There's always someone higher. Always another hand on the leash. I feel my magic stir, not panicked now, ready. Iden steps beside me, close enough that my shoulder brushes his. Not possession, partnership. I inhale his scent and don't flinch from needing it. Not anymore. Not when I know it's ours, stolen, muted, but ours. I look at the door. Let's hear what he has to say, I tell Carfax. Iden's voice is low near my ear. And whatever comes, you won't face it alone. For the first time since I woke under that white ceiling, the words don't feel like a story. They feel like a plan. Iden Severin sits behind a warded glass wall in the containment chamber, wrists cuffed in runes that glow faintly when he moves. He looks smaller without his authority cloak. Not harmless, never that, but contained, like a serpent in a jar. Carfax stands with a recorder rune on the table. Eirlys leans against the wall, arms folded. 2 sentinels flank the door. Eirlys stands at my side. She's pale, but her eyes are clear. Severin smiles when he sees her. There you are. Eirlys doesn't respond. She doesn't give him the satisfaction of flinching. Carfax sits. Director Sorin, you requested a trade. Severin spreads his hands as far as the cuffs allow. I will tell you who ordered the bond seal and the memory severance, he says smoothly. And I will give you the registry access cipher that proves it. In exchange, I want my sentence reduced. Carfax's voice is cold. You'll get what the tribunal decides. Severin's gaze slides to Eirlys. I'll tell her then, the truth she's starving for. Eirlys' fingers twitch, but she stays still. Her voice is quiet and lethal. Speak. Severin's smile turns thin. You were never supposed to be a witness, Eirlys. You were supposed to be an instrument. A pretty, obedient Omega with the perfect access credentials. But you kept choosing inconvenient morals. Eirlys' jaw tightens. Severin continues. When Valorian threatened to expose the bond-sealing operation, you gathered evidence. You planned to run it to internal wards. You planned to use Iden Thorn, your bonded partner, as cover and protection. Eirlys' breath catches. My chest tightens, hearing it spoken aloud like fact. Severin's eyes gleam. That was your mistake, because your bond wasn't just inconvenient, it was politically catastrophic. Carfax's gaze sharpens. Because, Severin nods. Because the one who ordered it is not a registry bureaucrat. It's Council Adjunct Evander Russell. Eirlys swears under her breath. Even Carfax's expression shifts, rare surprise. Russell. The name means nothing to Eirlys' conscious mind, but I see it hit something in her anyway. Her pupils dilate, her skin paling as if her body remembers the danger. Carfax's voice is careful. That's an accusation against a sitting council adjunct. Severin's smile returns. Not an accusation, a fact. Russell wanted control of the registry because controlling bonds controls houses, inheritance, alliances. Valorian stood in his way. You stood in his way. Your bond to Thorn stood in his way because Thorn is not easy to buy, and you, his eyes rake over Eirlys with contempt, were not as obedient as you looked. Eirlys' voice trembles, but not with fear, with fury. So you killed Valorian. Severin shrugs. Russell ordered it. I arranged it. The hand that held the knife belonged to a bonded enforcer who thought he was protecting his own Omega by obeying. Eirlys makes a soft, sick sound. Severin leans forward. And then we did what the registry does best. We rewrote reality. We sealed your bond record, erased your memories, erased Thorn S. We gave him a closed casket and lavender incense and told him grief is honorable. My throat burns with rage. I step forward, hands flexing, restrained only by the presence of sentinels and Eirlys at my side. Eirlys' hand slips into mine, firm, grounding. Not desperate now. Intentional. Carfax's voice is clipped. "Where is the cipher?" Severin smiles. "In my office, under the third shelf, behind the false ledger of marriage petitions. But you won't reach it." Carfax's eyes narrow. "Why not?" Severin's gaze slides to me again, amused. "Because Russell will burn this spire to ash before he lets you expose him." Carfax stands. "That's enough." Severin lifts his cuffed hands slightly. "We have a deal, Inspector, or do you want to gamble with your life and theirs?" Carfax's expression is stone. "I don't bargain with traitors," she says, "but I do use their information." She turns and strides out, already issuing orders into her calm rune. Malise follows, muttering about reinforcing wards and moving evidence off-site. Eirlys and I remain a moment longer, staring at Severin through the glass. Severin's smile is smug. "You can unseal your bond if you like," he says softly. "It won't save you. Russell doesn't tolerate loose ends." Eirlys leans closer to the glass, eyes blazing. "I'm not a loose end," she says, voice steady. "I'm the knot you couldn't untie." Severin's smile falters for the first time. Eirlys turns away. I follow her out, hand still in hers, and I realize with a strange, piercing clarity that this is what a bond feels like when it's not being used as a cage. Not ownership, not obligation, a choice made in the teeth of fear. Carfax meets us in the corridor. "We're moving you both tonight," she says. "Russell will strike fast." Eirlys squares her shoulders. "No," she says. Carfax pauses. "No," Eirlys' eyes are clear. "You're moving the evidence tonight. You're moving Malise tonight. You're moving your people tonight." "But I'm done running." Carfax studies her, then glances at me. "And you?" I look at Eirlys, this woman who woke up empty and furious and is now choosing to stand in front of the machine that tried to erase her. "I go where she goes," I say simply. Eirlys' grip tightens on my hand, not desperation, agreement. Carfax exhales, sharp and reluctant. "Then we do this the hard way. We unseal your bond with tribunal oversight right now, while we still control the chamber." Eirlys' breath catches. "Right now," Malise appears at the corridor's end, already rolling up her sleeves. "Right now," she confirms. "Because once it's unsealed, your resonance strengthens, namehooks won't bite as easily, and your memories, some of them may return on their own." Eirlys' face goes pale. "What if I remember something I can't live with?" I step closer, lowering my voice. "Then you won't live with it alone," I say. She looks at me, searching. Then she nods once, fierce and trembling. We return to the lens chamber, but it's been rearranged. A tribunal circle is drawn, older symbols, thicker lines, a seal mark in the center shaped like two interlocking spirals. Carfax stands at the head of it with a registrar, an elderly woman with ink-stained fingers and tired eyes. She looks at Eirlys and Iden like she's seen too many lives mangled by paperwork. "Do you consent to unsealing this bond record?" the registrar asks, voice formal. Eirlys swallows hard. "Yes." "Do you consent?" the registrar asks me. My throat tightens. I think of the grave. I think of the lie. I think of the way Eirlys said my name in the ward circle like she'd been trying to find me for years. "Yes," I say. The registrar nods. "Then speak your true names." Eirlys' voice is steady now. "Eirlys Vale." I answer, "Iden Thorn." The chalk circle hums. The air thickens, not with threat but with weight, like the room is acknowledging something it has been forced to ignore. The registrar presses her palm to the seal mark. Ink glows under her skin, then lifts like smoke and threads into the air between Eirlys and me. Eirlys gasps. I feel it too, something snapping loose, something that had been held down, a resonance unfurling like a long stifled breath. A heat blooms in my chest, deep and familiar in a way my mind can't explain, but my body recognizes with brutal certainty. Eirlys staggers toward me. I catch her, arms wrapping around her without thought. Her scent changes, fear dissolving into a trembling, aching relief. Her fingers clutch my back like she's anchoring herself to reality. And in my mind, like a door opening, an image slams into place. Eirlys in a kitchen, sunlight on her hair, laughing as she steals a bite of my food. Eirlys asleep, hands tucked under her chin. Eirlys in the lower arches, rain on stone, turning toward me with a glare that melts into a smirk. Not invented, not imagined. Mine, ours. I inhale sharply, knees going weak. Eirlys, I whisper, and this time her name lands in me like home. She pulls back just enough to look up at my face, eyes wide with tears and wonder and fury all at once. You remember, she whispers. I do, I rasp. I gods, I do. Her laugh breaks into a sob. She presses her forehead to mine, shaking. They stole us, she whispers. I hold her tighter. And we're taking us back. The registrar steps back, expression softened by the smallest hint of satisfaction. Bond record unsealed, she announces. By consent. Carfax exhales, relieved and grim. Good, she says. Now we can fight with more than paperwork. Hours later, when the city outside turns from dusk to deep night, internal wards raids Severin's office. They retrieve the cipher. They lock down registry access. They move evidence out of the spire through warded channels. They issue an emergency order for Counsel Adjunct Russell's detainment. It isn't clean. It isn't quick. There are protests, political snarls, threats, and counter-threats. But the registry machine that tried to erase us finally meets something it can't stamp out. A sealed bond unsealed. A witness who remembers enough. An alpha who refuses to be manipulated again. An omega who stops apologizing for surviving. By dawn, Russell is in cuffs. By midday, Severin's smug smile is gone. By evening, the rain finally stops. Carfax meets us on the spire's rooftop where the air smells fresh for the first time in days. The city below glitters, washed clean. It's done, she says. Russell will face tribunal. Severin too. Valorian's notes were real, your evidence holds. Eirlys' shoulders slump with exhausted relief. So we're safe. Carfax's expression is honest. Safer, not untouchable, but the machine has eyes on it now. It can't hide in silence. Eirlys nods slowly, absorbing it. Carfax looks at us both, then adds, your memories will keep returning, some will hurt. Some will be beautiful, don't force them, let them come. Eirlys' fingers slide into mine, warm, certain. Iden's chest tightens and I realize the ache in me isn't grief now. It's gratitude sharp enough to sting. Eirlys turns toward me, eyes tired but steady. We really were together, she says softly, like she's tasting the truth. Yes, I say. And you really stayed, she whispers. Yes. And now, she says, voice trembling on the edge of something hopeful and terrifying, we get to choose it again. I lift her hand and press my mouth to her knuckles, slow, deliberate, not a claim but a vow. Again, I agree. We don't declare forever. We don't pretend scars vanish. We simply stand on a rooftop in a city that tried to erase us, breathing air that no longer tastes like antiseptic, and we decide, quietly, fiercely, to live. Together. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. If this story hooked you, I'd love to hear what you felt most: anger, relief, heartbreak, or that slow, terrifying hope. Now tell me in the comments, would you choose the truth immediately, even if it shattered you, or would you accept a beautiful lie if it kept you alive?